right, welcome to another week. So we are going to review 1.2, 1.3. So test Friday. So remember, I will review some stuff and put some examples in, but I probably go into more detail on the whole videos for these. So if you want more information and to review, it'd be a good idea to rewatch the other videos. So for 1.2, it's on August 18th, or excuse me, August 19th, and August 20th for 1.3. So if you go back to those assignments, those videos are there. But 1.2 was on measuring segments. And the biggest thing we talked about was segment addition postulate. Where AB plus BC equals AC. I think what gave most people a problem was the algebra ones. You know, where it maybe labeled it like that, or maybe it said, excuse me, it said, you know, AB equals 3x plus 4, and BC equals x plus 8. And I'm just making this up off the top of my head, so hopefully I can get a number that works good. So what if it said AC was 32? Okay, so you're just supposed to add these two things together. So you want to do 3x plus 4 and then plus x plus 8 equals 32. And then solve the equation. So combine 3x and x and you get 4x. Combine 4 and 8 and you get 12. Subtract 12. X equals 5. So just make sure that you answer the question, because on a lot of these, the question wasn't solve for x necessarily. It might have been like, what's AB? So if AB equaled 3x plus 4, then you need to plug in the 5. And AB was 19. Or it could have said, what's BC? Wouldn't say what's AC because I already told you that. It could be solve for x. Just make sure. Okay, that way you're not doing everything correctly and then forgetting to finish the problem off. So there were some other terminology in there that you should probably go back over. We introduced the word congruent, which, remember, is another way to say equal, but when you don't know the number. So if you know the number, you can say they're equal. But if you don't know the number, you would say that they are congruent. But there's more information and more detail on the other video. So in 1.3, was midpoint and distance. And it looked like, if I remember correctly, a lot of you did use the distance formula when you did the assignment for this, which that's fine. So for midpoint, So remember, there is a formula. And what this is basically saying, and this is the way that I remember it, is add the x's and then divide by 2. Add the y's and divide by 2. I don't know which way is easier for you to remember, but I kind of like to add the x's and divide by 2. So if we had, 3, -8, and 7, 4. So we would do 3 plus 7 equals 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So that's the x part. And the y part is -8 plus 4 is -4 divided by 2 is -2. So the x part is 5 and the y part -2. So you could plug it in the formula. It's still, you're doing the same thing, just remembering it a slightly different way. Okay. The other one that in the midpoint one, endpoint, not mid. So endpoint is, let's say, 6, 1, and the midpoint, say, is 8, -3, and then it wanted you to find the other endpoint. So this is the one where I said, you could plug it into that formula and you got to solve some algebra, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of funky to me. I like it better if you just understand what's happening. If you're at a starting point or an end point, they call it, either way, and you go to the middle, you've done half of what you need to do. So if you've walked 5 feet, you got to walk 5 more feet. If you walked 8 feet, you got to walk 8 more feet. So whatever's happening between, each one of these, so from 6 to 8, you did +2. So do +2 again, and that's part of the endpoint. Do what's happening here. From 1 to -3 is -4. Think of a number line. From 1 to -3, I went 4 spaces in the negative direction. So I got to do -4 again. And I get -7. I think it's much faster. And I think easier to understand, to be honest. So, all right, those are the main things. There are, we talked about bisector, cut in half. A bisector is kind of like a midpoint. If something is a bisector, then where it crosses is a midpoint. You could have a point. You don't talk about usually a point being a bisector. A point is usually a midpoint. But a ray or a segment or another line could be a bisector. And remember, bisector means cut in half. Okay, the other thing was distance. You know what? I'm going to do this on another slide. So 2 ways to do it. And again, I'm not tied to either way. I'm of the opinion that I'm going to show it to you in multiple ways, and then you can pick what you like. So if I was going to find the distance from 2 -4 to 6 +4. You could use the distance formula. x1, oh, it's minus. x1 minus x2 squared, y1 minus y2 squared. So it's just, you know, the x, first part of the x point minus the second part of the x point. So 2 minus 4 squared plus negative 4 minus 4 squared. So I get negative 2 squared plus negative 8 squared. And we get 4 plus 64, or 68. And that's going to be probably like 8.2. Square root of 64 is 8, so it's a little bit more. So we would do approximate, that's what that squiggly equal sign means, approximately 8.2. Again, I might be off by a tenth. But on your homework, I'm just estimating. Let me use my calculator and see how close I was. On your homework, use a calculator. Let's see, 68 square root 8.24. So 8.2 was good. All right, the other way to do it is to graph it and draw a triangle. So 2, negative 4, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then draw a triangle. If I could draw straight, awesome. Sorry, excuse me. So how far is that red line? It's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. The blue line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. So there's our 2 and 8 that we got like right there. And then I'm going to do Pythagorean Theorem. So 4 squared plus 8 squared. Excuse me. I did something wrong. Oh, all the way back over here. Jiminy Christmas. All the way back over here. That should have been a 6. And so that should have been a 4. That should have been a 16. So you can see, like, you know, I messed up. There's positives and negatives to both of them. And honestly, the only reason I caught my mistake is because I actually graphed it. So 70, this is 80. So the square root of 81 is 9. So that's got to be 8.9. So way back over here, 16 plus 64, 60, 70 is 80. So I think graphing is better. Just there's another issue that could pop up in the formula that you may or may not catch. It has to do with the negative in the formula, and then if you plugged in a negative number for that x2 or y2 part, you got to remember that you have two negatives and it turns to positive, and sometimes people forget that. So that's why I think the graphing one is probably a little bit better. So again, choice is yours. All right. So those are the two main ideas, along with that word bisector, from section 1.3. So worksheets and the problems that you're supposed to do on the worksheets are listed on the assignment. So work those out. I begin studying for your test. You know, that the reviews are to help you study, but go back and make sure you got all the terminology and stuff like that down. Okay? All right. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.